And that's really where leading to a lot of conversations we have internally, right? So, going back to when different teams started to look at their focus and aligning towards the goals we want it to be, you start to say there are different paths. So how do we decide the path we want to go, at least the path we think we're going to go now? And then how do you decide you prioritize across different areas? So going back to the example we had earlier, the consumers versus the payments versus the risk, they all have different focuses. So it depends on where we are. We have to decide how do we plan the allocation now. It is very challenging because strategic planning, for some of you who may have practiced that before, is very time consuming. It requires lots of spreadsheets and decks and numbers, right? So that kind of holds back on companies and teams to say, yeah, I want to do it, but it take too much time. I can't do it. So the idea is that's why we, in the past, we could have this legacy system. We get a giant waterfall project plan. We plan everything out. We execute it because the pace at that time was okay to work that way. Now things are happening in the days, in the sprints, in the scrums. So things are happening so fast. You bring product to market so quickly. The market changes so quickly. But you cannot just say that's the reason we don't have a strategy and alignment and where we go. So having a way to understand where we want to go and visualize and plan these dependencies and also understand our allocations is so critical in terms of managing a responsive product portfolio. And when I say dependencies, quite often people think about, oh, I have dependencies because I have to do A first and B next. It's kind of like sort of like a project management sequence type of dependencies. Yes, that's one type. The other dependency, for example, you would, so that's the one we mentioned earlier, is like a feature dependency. You work on this, you work on this. But there are also resource dependency. My team depend on, the consumer team depend on, let's say, the risk team to do some of the work or vice versa. So now you start to have the portfolio level dependency. And sometimes it's the product experience dependency. So if we want to have a mobile experience, but the web experience is out of sync, then people will have something that looks very different, not coherent. So you also have to think about how this will tie together. So all trying to highlight is that the user interaction and the product experience across multiple teams becomes so intertwined and so ingrained in today's product team in any sizes. So understanding the goal and the focus and the potential conflict and the plan and negotiate the dependencies is very crucial for your team to be empowered and autonomous. Why? People say, well, portfolio management feels like a very top-down. And you give a North Star and everyone does what you need to do. That's not really true. The strategy need to be aligned so the team actually can move forward towards the direction we want it to go. The team still has a very large autonomy in terms of how we realize that strategy. So that's number one. It's not micromanaging, say what you do, but more of saying, here's the path we're taking. Let's try to take that path. If not, let's revisit. So that's the first part. Second part, I think a lot of team members may not realize that if for any team try to achieve their goals are dependent on the other teams, and your priority may not be their priority, you are not empowered. You feel powerless because you can't move. You're stuck. And that's why the upfront alignment and the upfront understanding of dependencies so that you can gain the support for the other teams, it will actually help you to help truly empower your team with the direction and with the resources and support needed so that they can do their best part of the design, the product, and discovery.